If you are looking for easy to apply sales tricks on how to close a sale or ready lines on how to start a sales conversation with any prospect, you are in the wrong place. It's not typical how to do video. You won't get a fish here, but maybe you will learn how to fish. If you are still here and you want to learn how to never run out of things to say, every time you approach a new prospect and be really successful making a cold call, let's get started. My name is Pavel. I've been in sales for over 15 years. I've built a network of contacts and sales from scratch several times in my career on European market for companies operating in industrial sector. If you are looking for real information and sales advice, please subscribe. I'm already tired of all that crap I see in the internet. Fake sales calls, live sales role-playing that have nothing to do with reality. Sales calls that start like, "Hello Michael, how are you today?" What the heck? Who talks like that making a cold call? How are you today? Who the hell are you? Forget about it once for all if you are serious about doing real business with serious companies. And I don't care what mainstream experts say. Most of what you see and hear are the divagations of people who never worked in sales longer than a year or two. People with no proven track record, or people who were actively involved in sales when the dinosaurs were still alive, and say that selling is a numbers game. What the Maybe for them, you can control an outcome. Selling is a performance game. And don't get me wrong, I really respect age and experience. And there are a lot of more experienced people than me. But age, experience, and integrity don't always go hand in hand. Especially now where most of what you hear are aimed at taking money out of your pocket. Nowadays, world changes very dynamically, and you must also if you don't want to be left behind. One thing seems certain. Conversation with the client should always lead in the right direction. So if you don't know what to say, you should have a proven sales script. That's what you probably heard. What's more, some people say that if you don't use sales script, you cannot call yourself professional. But instead of blindly believing what you hear, it's worth to consider whether the sales script can really help you in your market and in your industry. Nowadays, business people are much more aware of sales processes and social technique tricks than they were in the past, especially those who have executive and decision-making positions in their organizations, simply because they are trained to do so. They take part in the same trainings, read the same books, and are often very well educated. And mostly they won't answer your pre-prepared question and play the game. You imagine it. Besides making a cold call, after you say anything more than who you are, you should focus on reading your client's attitude in the first place. You have probably heard that when you cold call, you should be enthusiastic, you should focus on tonality, express certainty and confidence. But that's only half the truth. Let's say you call some company and you say hello, and you hear a soft, muted voice. You can guess that someone has either just woken up or is lost in their thoughts. How much enthusiastic you will be, how loud you will speak, what pace of speaking you will keep. These issues are just as important and maybe even more than what you say, especially in the first several seconds. If you cross a certain subtle line, which in this case is set very low, there is no chance that you will manage to build the right rapport with your prospect. The opposite will be true for someone you hear and he's highly driven, loud and compulsive the moment you call. This aspect has a wider context and applies to virtually everything, even the habits of people you call. Some people enjoy to have a small talk before they get down to business. Some are very goal-oriented and prefer to focus on problem and solution. There are people who are very intelligent, smart, even brilliant, what requires from you to hit a peak of your intellect. And there are people in which company you should to lower your flights to be well understood. Tone of voice, pace of speaking, vocabulary, attentive listening, and finally what you say must play along with what you hear. Your prospect's first few words are crucial for understanding who are you dealing with and to mirror what you feel and hear. That's why you can't talk like a voice bot and use the same lines every single time. And this is how often it looks like when we take away people's creativity. Give them a literal script, and we forget that behind each prospect is his own system of values, emotions, and habits. I guarantee you that when you try thousands of openers, lines, and sales scripts, finally you will always get to the point where you find out that the greatest impact on your client have not your words or tonality, but who you really are. And no matter how vague it sounds, the game is about something more than what to say and how you should deliver your pitch. You don't get success, you become success. You are the molder of your character, master of your thoughts. We don't attract what we want, we attract what we are. Evaluation of clients' potential, arranging meetings, gathering intelligence, closing the sale, dealing with objections. These are frequently mentioned motives behind stands the sales script. But one question is fundamental. What exactly you want to achieve? It has to be clear. If you need a sales script in order to improve, for example, closing, because you make a dozen cold calls every day, you may need a script, or it may even be compulsory. All this because script, to a large extent, is addressed to a particular group of organizations and salespeople. And this is where the verification of sales script usefulness should begin. So, if you are a sales manager of a company that sells, for instance, mobile services and employ over 100 people involved directly in acquisition, who make dozens of phone calls, then you should consider to have a good prepared sales script. But the main reason for that is not related with its very high efficiency, but rather with a high turnover of employees in your organization, usually with relatively short job seniority and probably without commercial experience. In that case, common sense says to have a ready sales script and proven lines that statistically increase the chances of successfully closing the sale. All because it's almost impossible to correct mistakes made in such a big group of people for whom, let's be honest, selling is usually not a dream profession but a temporary job. It's just about business. Advantage of sales script is the relatively low cost of training. The company can keep costs to minimum. Everything what is required is to memorize a script, and this is the crucial factor that largely determines the choice of such a sales model. If you sell a product where a face-to-face meeting is necessary, and this applies to most complex, expensive and technical solutions for various markets and industries, it's all about setting an appointment where you can use full range of your sales skills, your market and product knowledge and expertise. If you don't know how to do it easily, please check the playlist above and end screen of this video. You will find there many useful sales tips on how to make a cold call, set an appointment, and exactly what to say and how to make a first contact with a new prospect. If you want to get a significant and large clients in your industry in which you operate, you must in the first place concentrate on gathering intelligence before making a call. And I'm not talking about general information that can be found everywhere, but specific and little-known facts that will help you build your credibility. And please keep in mind that it's hard to find anything more annoying than someone who asks theoretically thought-out questions on which answers can be found on the general client's website. Instead of asking, use more statements and ask for confirmation. This will be a sign to the other side that you have at least taken some trouble to find out more about his unique business. The deeper you can go into details and little-known facts, the better. You need to get your prospect initial attention. Maybe you have common friends or have worked on similar projects. Know very well their competition. Just be resourceful and take time for preparation. Let the conversation with a prospect resemble a regular conversation with another human when you try to learn as much as possible about yourself in a natural way without evoking negative feelings. Conversation with clients shouldn't look like interview, and you can't behave like a lawyer or policeman who examine the defendant. In most cases it will not work, trust me. Or even better, try and find out for yourself. Don't try to overcome all objections brought by your prospect. It will kill your rapport. Conversation should have casual tone, especially if it's your first contact. Even the best sales script will not replace emotional intelligence and cannot bring better results than honest conversation based on experience. If you work in a company where nobody tells you what to say, you have an independent position, you crave for success, you should rely more on common sense rather than on sales scripts. Which doesn't mean you don't need an action plan. Quite the opposite. Start associating facts and draft the right conclusions every time you approach the qualified prospect you want to do business. What will boost your sales, take you to the next level, and allow you to achieve extraordinary results? That's knowledge of human psychology, willingness to take risks, and lessons drawn from your own mistakes. But in order to draw the right conclusions, you have to take action. You can't predict your prospect's response every single time, but over time you will gain intuition that will allow you to reach the top of your industry. Even the best prepared scenario will not cover real life. Especially in business, anything can happen. Although I have attended literally thousands of meetings, virtually every one was somehow different. Depending on who you are meeting with, there are common points. Sure, some are even identical. Clients may have some kind of similar or even the same convictions, beliefs, objections, and even situations in which they find themselves. But just as there is no one identical person on earth, there is no one proven sales group which can guarantee success. To be successful in sales, you must be a good psychologist and be ready to change the chosen path if you see another better chances of winning. Business-oriented people are already tired of all easy-to-read marketing gimmicks and manipulation attempts. When they hear the dispassionate voice in the speaker on their smartphone or are sitting in front of someone who they see he clumsily plays his role, they feel nothing more than a desire to end the conversation and back to their daily routines. That's why you have to start to act in a non-startant manner. Allow yourself to be spontaneous and sometimes let the conversation take a different course than you planned or you anticipated. Trust your intuition and learn how to use every objection in your favor by being receptive and unpredictable. Relying too much on scripts can lead in a straight line to loss of the ability to assess correctly the situation and take advantage of it. If you decided to have a sales script, treat it as a general outline rather than a strict agenda. Having a plan of action can give you more confidence, but only an open mind and being flexible will allow you to build sales skills that will make you a confident salesperson and a charismatic personality. As there are different products, organizations, and management strategies, that there are places where a well-prepared script is certainly a good idea. If your goal is to reach as many leads as fast as possible, you don't really care about any particular client, or it doesn't pay you off for some reason to think about every single prospect in individual manner, your goal is to reach the biggest audience, then you should have a good prepared script. If you are a hunter in sales, you are aware that work on a key accounts may take several months or even years. You must learn to be flexible enough to deal with any obstacles you may encounter on your way and be creative. But to be fair, it must be admitted that there are scripts dedicated to even very experienced salespeople who already have extensive knowledge about clients' behavior, sales psychology, and know very well how to lead the conversation in the right direction. More complex scripts are basically a set of guidelines created for the intended purpose and are much more focused on a specific client. Usually contain only main points which allows to lead more casual dialogue without emphasis on the form or message. Our approach to the client may be spread over time and takes into account even complicated decision hierarchy for more demanding products or services. But is it still a script? Maybe, but for me it's just a mixture of knowledge, experience, and common sense. If you are just starting out in sales, you can imagine yourself as Steve Jobs who does his show on stage with all his famous jaw-dropping moments. Or as Leonardo DiCaprio in The Wolf of Wall Street delivering his flashy sales pitches. But trust me, it will mostly not work for you. Soon you will have to face the truth. But keep in mind, today someone might confuse you by having an objection you have never dealt before. Maybe at this point you don't know what to say on how to handle it in a proper manner. You may feel confused and powerless, but tomorrow, if you are seriously about what you do, you will be smarter because you won't to be embarrassed anymore. If you are persistent, you will find a solution. You will ask more experienced colleagues or experts for advice. Read a book, look for answers in the internet, or just study more carefully data sheet of the offered product. Whatever you need, if you put an effort and find the answer, no one can surprise you from that moment. On the contrary, your preparation gives you confidence and will have a positive impact on your perception in the eyes of your future clients. If you use even the best proven sales script, but you have received it from someone, it's not based on your own failures and victories, it won't help you much, because nothing cannot replace experience. Don't try to be perfect and pretend to be an expert if you aren't already. Only then you will find the courage to start implementing your own new ideas, verify what really works and what doesn't. If you emanate empathy and you are at ease with people, they will open up to you and reveal all hidden doubts and objections. Over time, you will gain strong social awareness that will bring you success in sales. It's a process and takes time, requires making mistakes. But that's the only way to build solid foundations that will help you to reach the top of your industry. Sticking to the one scenario will significantly limit your progress or even make it impossible. It only keeps you in your comfort zone, making you mediocre. Instead, keep the journal frame, remember about key points, and let the rest be the testing ground for you to master the art of selling. I realize that many may not like what they hear or have a different opinion. I respect it. This is mine, built over years of cooperation with various companies in industrial markets. If you have your own insight, leave a comment. If you like this video, please don't forget to like it and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and see you soon.